Hello everybody, this is Armstrong Hyper Sports here, back again with another video today. Now, I know most of you probably hear that intro and you're like, what? Like, you're like, all surprised, like, what the does that mean? And yes, that was just a censor because this is a kid-friendly channel. In all seriousness though guys, I apologize for not uploading a video in it's been like half a year, hasn't it been like 6 months? Holy cow. So now most of you are probably running down into the comment section typing, "Oh, Armstrong Hyper Sports, you lazy bastard!" You'd be 100% correct. So right now, I should probably be doing the divisional rounds. However, the Saints-Eagles game is yet to finish. It is right now 5:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. So instead, I'm going to talk about my favorite team in the NFL and by far the biggest dumpster fire in the entire NFL and see if they'll be able to rebound in the 2019 season. Ladies and gentlemen, AHS presents to you, will the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs in 2019? Let's jump right into it. So first of all, let's talk about how close they were to making the playoffs last season. Their division was not that good. The Patriots were only 10-6 and they're only destined to fall off an even bigger cliff next season if Brady potentially retires or Bill Belichick leaves for another team. As for Miami and the Jets, yeah, they both just got new head coaches. It's not looking very high up for our division rivals. So one of the biggest things that we need to ask ourselves when we are thinking about the question of will the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs in the 2019 season, we have to look at this offseason. This offseason is going to be one of the most important offseasons potentially in Bills history, as Brendan Bean needs to be smart and he needs to be swift, as I'll put it, with his picks in free agency and the draft. However, we definitely have the resources to have a really good draft, as we have just a tiny bit more than $87 million in free cap space for the draft and 10 total draft picks. I repeat, just under $90 million for free agency and free cap space and 10 draft picks. These 10 picks include our first round pick, our second round pick, our third round pick, our fourth round pick, and then Kansas City's fifth round pick, our fifth round pick, Oakland's fifth round pick, our sixth round pick, our seventh round pick, and finally Carolina's seventh round pick. So we have plenty of draft capital and plenty of cash to spend this offseason to really make something happen. And honestly, I am really excited to watch the major shopping spree Bills Mafia is gonna have for these next couple months. So let's further talk about the preseason and talk about the Buffalo Bills' biggest offseason needs. And there's a couple of them, considering we just made the playoffs for the first time this millennium the year before last. Now, some of our biggest picks are on the offensive side of the ball, considering our offense was second last in the league last season. Where on the other side of the ball, our defense is actually pretty stingy, specifically our pass defense. We'll get to that later. So talking about our biggest offseason needs, we have our number one and probably our biggest need at wide receiver. Our best wide receivers are Zay Jones, Robert Foster, Isaiah McKenzie, and that's about it. We also have Ray McLeod, but those are really the main guys. However, we just got, I think you pronounce it Diakil Williams, but his nickname is Duke Williams from the Canadian Football League, so he'll help us out a ton. Some people are wondering if he'll have problem adapting to the American game. Honestly, if you ask me, catching is catching. Also, the fact that he's in Buffalo, the weather is not going to be that much different compared to Edmonton. So yeah, besides a bunch of different rules in the CFL, like no free catch rule, less downs, you miss a field goal and you get a free point, etc. Catching the football is still catching the football. You hear the snap, you run, you beat your cornerback, the ball is thrown to you and you make the catch. It's the same, really. I don't think I'll have any problem adapting. Also, another question when it comes to wide receivers is one of the biggest free agents available this season is Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get to that shortly. Our second biggest offseason need is offensive tackle, specifically right tackle. Now, we got Dion Dawkins in the 2017 draft in round 2, just below Tre'Davious White. He's probably our most talented offensive lineman. If I'd have to pick one spot on our offensive line that's actually decently good, it would be left tackle where Dion Dawkins is. And also right guard, Wyatt Teller. We'll get to that later, which we got in the 2017 draft. Actually, no, it was 2019. But by far, our biggest need on that O-line was probably offensive tackle. So hopefully we can get a Jonah Williams or Greg Little in the draft, or in free agency with those $87 million. Our third biggest offseason draft position that we need to fix is defensive tackle. And the reason why defensive tackle is on here is because All-Star, one of the most beloved Bills of all time, and one of my favorite players, Kyle Williams, has retired after his, I believe it was his 12th or 13th season. He'll be missed. So we need a number one defensive tackle for next season. I'm not sure if we're going to try to go for potential Ed Oliver in the draft, or again use that $87 million to get a good defensive tackle in free agency. Our fourth biggest position is a pass rusher. Now, if I'd have to say one downpour and one position that we didn't really do that good in defensively last season was our pass rush. We were one of the worst teams at pressuring the QB and attacking the QB, and that's not good. Because one of the biggest parts of an offense, of any team, is the QB. He's the main playmaker, he's the main guy, he's the guy that always grabs the ball, he's the guy who's going to have the most snaps, and he's really the core of any defense. Meaning, if you have good pass rushers and you can attack the QB, you're going to do well. Meaning, we definitely need a really good defensive end potentially in the draft in Clelin Ferrell, I think his name is, from Clemson, who actually just declared for the draft, or somebody in free agency, as we need somebody more than Jerry Hughes and Trent Murphy. Our fifth biggest offseason need is interior offensive linemen. Now, what it means by that, for those of you that aren't that accumulated to the way the offensive line works, is those 5 positions in an offensive line. The middle one being the center, and that's the one that gives off the ball to the QB. Let's say the QB's around here. You have, it'll be my left, your guys' right guard, left tackle, right tackle. Now, when this is talking about an interior lineman, I'm guessing it's talking about center and guard. Now, I'm going to talk about the rest of our O-line and its needs for this offseason. Now, talking about our O-line, the worst part was the middle and the right-hand side of the ball. Like, I remember a game last season, I believe it was against the Bengals, when our O-line was just terrible. And I actually went to YouTube and I analyzed film to see who was that bad. And every single time Josh Allen got sacked, Josh Allen was Steinberger then, right? I'm not sure. I slowed down the tape and I really watched which lineman was making the mistake. And most of the time it was either A, the right offensive tackle, which was Marshall Newhouse, one of our free agent signings last season, did not work out. Our right guard, who was Jordan Mills, again did not work out. Or our center, who was either Ryan Groy or Russell Bodine. Those two switched it out a lot in the middle parts of the season, and honestly all throughout the season. So if if I was the Bills, I'd get a center, a right guard, and a right tackle. I think left tackle is okay. John Doxson is still young, he's still developing, and I think he could be a really good piece of this offense. And right guard is still good. We got Ryan Teller in the 2017 draft. He really started developing. He was a 5th round pick. He actually became a starter near the end of the season. So I think those two could really stabilize that left side. But we need a new center, we need a new right guard, and we need a new right tackle. As for right tackle, there's 2 guys in the draft that we could potentially try to go for. Jonah Williams, who is expected to be around a 9th overall pick, which is exactly where the Bills are in the draft. And then Greg Little, who is expected to be like a 10 to 15 pick. However, earlier on in the season, he was predicted to be like the first offensive tackle to be taken. So those 2 are really changing up a lot. So maybe we could draft Jonah Williams or Greg Little, and then sign a center in free agency, and sign a right guard in free agency. And then Wyatt Teller will start first in right guard, and Deion Doxson's in left guard. Left tackle. I think that's what we have to do. Moving on to our 6th biggest offensive off-season need. We have cornerback, and specifically second cornerback. Now, I know what a lot of non-Bills fans are saying, but AHS, you have Tre'Davious White, one of the most talented young rookie cornerbacks in the league, shut down corner. 5 interceptions in his rookie season. Was it 5 or 4? Okay, I honestly forget. To be honest with you, lots of pass breakups, lots of great moves and coverage. Why do you need another cornerback? That second position. We have tried many different cornerbacks in that position, and none of them have seemed to work out. We tried getting Vontae Davis in free agency last season. That did not work out for anything. He retired. My dog's annoying me. Check it out. Puppy! I'm gonna put this on the video because I can. Anyways, moving on to what I was saying. Vontae Davis, the guy who we expected to fill that second cornerback spot, ended up retiring at halftime during the Chargers game. For those of you that remember that, pain. Lots of pain. And I hate him for that. Whole way to end what was actually a pretty good career. We also tried E.G. Gaines. That didn't really work. And we just kept on shuffling more and more guys. And none of them were really sticking. Until undrafted free agent signing Levi Wallace came in and shocked. He started his first game in week 11 against the New York Jets. I don't know what week it was, but I know it was against the New York Jets. And I'm too lazy to search it up. I don't know why. I'm going to search that up right now. Don't mind me. Give me like 2 quick seconds. One sec. Give me 2 short minutes. Week 10 against the New York Jets. Levi Wallace made his debut, and he continued to play in that second cornerback spot for the rest of the season. And I thought he played pretty well. He still had yet to get his first interception, but he was playing really well in coverage. He had a couple pass breakups. I thought he was a really solid cornerback in coverage. And if we don't end up signing a guy in free agency, I think he could potentially play a big role for us in 2019. Speaking of Levi Wallace, PFF, which is short for Pro Football Focus, had Levi Wallace ranked as the #1 rookie cornerback last season. #1! Above Alexander and Denzel Ward, who were in the first round. Wallace was undrafted. Okay. And besides that, last year draft pick 4th round, Taron Johnson ended up stepping in and playing a big role in that nickel cornerback spot. Him and Levi Wallace kept on switching the last 7 weeks of game. Well, 6 games, 7 weeks, get my 12. Anyways, the reason why those two were so different is Levi Wallace was good in coverage, breaking up passes, sticking to the wide receiver, shutting down top-tier wide receivers. Kind of similar to Trey White, where Taron Johnson was like that hybrid, sort of like safety cornerback that would attack the quarterback. Hold on, let me search this up. Taron Johnson. He had 42 tackles for us, a sack, and an interception. And I know you're probably wondering, 42 tackles and a sack for a cornerback? How did that happen? Because Taron Johnson's biggest feat, it wasn't his protection and coverage. It was his rush and his run stopping. He became one of our best run stoppers in the latter half of the season. And he just was great at stepping into coverage, getting that hit. That's why he got 42 combined tackles and stopping the run. He was also great at being a potential quarterback attacker, which explains his 1 sack. And he was also great in coverage at times, which explains his 1 interception. Great play all around by Taron Johnson and Levi Wallace. And honestly, if we don't sign anybody, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Moving on to our 7th biggest offseason need, we have running back. And the reason why running back's on this list is, I know most people are probably saying, oh, do you have LaShawn McCoy? Why in hell would you need another running back? And you have Chris Ivory, who is a pretty decent backup. The reason being, LaShawn McCoy had his worst season of a bunch. And Chris Ivory was still not that impressive. The only reason why he was impressive was because LaShawn McCoy was horrible. And I'd hate to say that there's a possibility of potentially releasing LaShawn McCoy and Chris Ivory. Getting a great running back in free agency, potentially Mike Davis from the Seahawks, and then maybe drafting a right running back, a second running back, in maybe the 5th or 6th round. And I was thinking to myself, but he had such a good season in 2017. He was one of the main reasons why we made the playoffs. He was great for us. And it's like, you have to wonder, it must be that hard for running back. He had his career low 3 average yards per carry, which is really low for Shady. And the reason why, our O-line was terrible. I think I've already mentioned this multiple times earlier on. Our center, right guard, and O-tackle, and even the other 2 positions weren't great. Our entire O-line was horrible at both pass protection and run blocking. So LaShawn McCoy never really had a free passes to just run through like he had plenty of times back in 2017. Like, think about it. Back in 2017, we had Eric Wood, one of our best centers, and honestly, I really liked Eric Wood. And Ricky Incognito, they both just retired out of nowhere. We had no time to react to it. And Shady, Chris Ivory, and a couple other running backs that we got halfway through the season, which don't really matter, not to be honest with you. I don't even feel like I need to name the other ones, because they probably won't stay with the team for much longer. And another thing about LaShawn McCoy, and another reason why we could potentially get rid of him, besides his bad performance, was he got in some problems with the law. For those of you that remember, earlier on in the season, he got a lot of acquisitions from his ex-wife. I didn't really read into it that much, because I'm not a huge fan of politics. I believe it was like him beating up his wife or something, and it was bad. And I think a combination of the horrible O-line and all those acquisitions, who's gonna step on the football field and actually wanna play when there's about to be a lawsuit on your ass? Do you actually feel like playing? Do you expect Sean McDermott to come over here you ready to have a good game, Shady? And Shady's gonna be like, so yeah, I'm honestly not sure what we're gonna do with that. I think we probably should release Chris Ivory, because there's a thing called dead cap space, and if we release Chris Ivory, there's not even going to be $1 million dropped. Where if we release LaShawn McCoy, I believe there's going to be like $3 million. A little bit less than that, maybe, in dead cap space. Like, do we really want that? Like, I don't think we do. So maybe you keep LaShawn McCoy around for 1 more year, see if he performs better behind the better O-line, get rid of Chris Ivory, maybe get a more talented backup just in case if Shady decides to sleep. Again, you have a pretty solid backup to back him up. Moving on to our eighth biggest offseason need, we have tight end. Now, let me quickly search it up this for you. Buffalo Bills tight ends. Current tight ends. One sec. So looking at the Buffalo Bills depth chart, we have 3 tight ends. And all of them are honestly not that impressive. We have Charles Clay, Jason Kroom, and Logan Thomas. So Logan Thomas is probably going to be a backup. I can't see him being the new savior for that tight end spot. And even if he was, I can't see him being the guy that the Bills need for that next short pass option. As for the other 2, Charles Clay actually used to be our starter until Jason Kroom took over. Now, Jason Kroom was actually the starter for the second half and the majority of the 2018 season. And I thought he was decent. That's about it, though. Decent to like below average. We really need that tight end that can just catch everything, that can be that nice short option, run into the end zone, kind of be like another receiver, but in the short form. So honestly, I think if anybody is going to be good, if anybody is going to potentially be the starter at tight end out of those 3 next season, it's going to be Jason Kroom. Like, just looking at his stats, he had 22 receptions, 259 yards, which is an average of 11.8 yards per catch, 26 longest reception. 26. Alright, boy. So much for a short option. 1 touchdown, 1 fumble. But still, only 1 fumble. That's actually pretty decent for a 24-year-old. So finally, will the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs in 2019? Will they go from 6-10 to the second playoff berth of this millennium and the second playoff berth of this decade? Drum roll, please. Yes, they will. They will make the playoffs. And here's why. The reason why I think they're going to get improved and the reason why they're going to be so much better is the following. They have almost $90 million in cap space. 10 draft picks. We have 9 needs. However, we have $90 million and 10 draft picks, like I said, to fill out those needs. There's plenty of wide receivers available. There's plenty of offensive linemen available in the draft and in free agency. Also, most of those needs that were just mentioned aren't even necessary. Cornerback, you have Levi Wallace, you have Karen Johnson, and we have the best pass defense in 2018. I don't think you need anything better than that. Running back, if Shady stays, which he probably will, both coaches have said that they're going to keep him. However, they said the exact same thing about Tyrod Taylor, so you're not 100% sure. As with Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in his rookie season, and many people don't think that about that just because of the horrible offense that was around him. Dude, the guy had one of the worst O-lines in the league. one of the worst receiving corps in the league, one of the worst running backs in the league, sorry Shady, and he was still an above average rookie quarterback. Bam, wham, thank you, man. Playoffs, here we come. The next Jim Kelly, the next Jim Kelly, the next Jim Kelly. But also, how about our safety duo? I mean, Jordan Poyer just got 4 interceptions last season. That leads our team. And it's better than most cornerbacks in the NFL. Then you have Micah Hyde, who had a great season the year before that. So you have Tre'Davious White in long form, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and then in that second cornerback spot, you can have Levi Wallace, Taron Johnson, or somebody that we get. That's a great 5, and it helped us get number 1 in pass defense. And also, dudes, if we end up making the playoffs, it's not going to be completely on our quarterback. Let's not forget that one of our biggest assets last season and the season before that has been our defense, specifically our great secondary. I mean, I'm just going to name off a couple of our key assets. Cornerback Tre'Davious White, one of the best players entering his 3rd season. He's a young, promising cornerback. He's great in coverage. He's great at shutting down wide receivers. He's great at shutting down He's great at shutting down the passing game, and he can use some interceptions and some defensive touchdowns. Go away! Another thing that you have to talk about when it comes to our defense's gigantic success is our linebacking core. We have one of the youngest, most promising linebacking cores in the NFL, and honestly, I don't think we get enough credit for it. You have Lorenzo Alexander, who has been a solid linebacker for us for years. He's a little bit old now. I think he's 25. I think we're gonna re-sign him because he needs to get re-signed. Have him for 1 more year, and then he's probably gonna have to go. But in that 1 more year, we can get 1 more exterior linebacker to replace him potentially in free agency or the draft. But as far as our other 2 linebackers go, you have Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. Both of them had giant comeback great seasons. And it's like, you have to talk about Tremaine Edmonds, a 20-year-old physical freak that we took in the 1st round of the draft. People didn't believe in him. People thought that he was going to be a bust. People saw how good Darius Leonard and Vander-esque from Dallas and the Colts were playing, and people were like, oh, the Bills should have gone for those 2. What were they thinking? Which, honestly, I don't blame them, because he was crap for the first 10 weeks. However, going to the latter half of the season, he turned it on, finishing with 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, and over 100 tackles. Which was our leading tackler. What more can you ask for a 20-year-old physical linebacker? It's like, when you get a 20-year-old physical freak with not that much skill, but a lot of raw talent, you aren't expecting him to have the best start. You're expecting him to be great in the future, which he will be. How about Shaq Lawson? Former 1st-round pick, had a great, somewhat breakout year this season. He slowly started getting better, slowly but surely, the last 2 seasons. But this year was really the year that he really decided to burst onto the scene. Which is good, because some people were talking about us potentially going to cut him. And then he got 2 sacks in our final game against Miami. Do you really want to cut a guy that did that? And he got way better at pushing the quarterback. We want somebody like that. Especially since we're a team that doesn't have the best defensive ends. Heck, our defensive end depth chart has Trent Murphy, Jerry Hughes, and Shaq Lawson. But the thing is, all those guys could potentially be great. I mean, Shaq Lawson, a former 1st-round pick, you expect him to be somewhat decent, don't you? Speaking of which, Matt Milano, somebody that a lot of people were talking about as our potential best player of 2019. He was great for us in coverage, he was great for us in tackles, and he had a great breakout season for himself. And he's really submitted himself as one of our best linebackers. He was drafted in the same year as Dawkins and White, so that draft class really had a great season. I can't say the same for Nathan Peterman, however, getting released in week 5. Was it week 5? I don't know, to be honest. So we have a great quarterback who's going to be even better once he gets some weapons. We have tons of money, tons of draft capital to spend on free agents and draft picks. We have already a great defense, a great running back if we decide to keep him, and if we get our O-line a little bit better. And we have one of the best young linebacking cores in the NFL. We have one of the best young cornerbacks in the league in Tre'Davious White. We have two of the best safety duos in the league in Micah Hyde and Jordan Power. We have two very promising, soon-to-be sophomore cornerbacks in Levi Wallace and Taron Johnson. We now have two new backups for Josh Allen, Matt Barkley, and Anderson. Both of them should be great for Josh Allen's development. Like, that's what you need. That's what you need. You need a veteran that can really help teach Josh Allen. And we finally have that in Matt Barkley and Anderson. And Matt Barkley actually came in and played pretty well when he had to. So with all of that put into perspective, ladies and gentlemen, I think the Buffalo Bills will make the playoffs in 2019. Go Bills. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that video. If you did, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and smash that like button if you enjoyed. It really does help me out. I'm sorry for the bit of a long video today. I mean, it was like 30 minutes long. I mean, like, that's pretty insane. And as always, guys, see you in the next video. Goodbye. And I promise this time it will not be 6 months. Maybe not.